Hi, this is Yolanda Vanveen, and in this segment we're going to talk about how to rake leaves. So fall has come upon us and the autumn has entered the scene, and I have leaves all over my garden and all over my front beds and all over my grass here. So I spend a lot of time raking, and there's a few tricks that I have learned over the years that help a lot. My first rule of thumb is always rake in the afternoon when the leaves are the driest. And when you're raking up leaves, make sure and try to put them in an area where they can stay dry, because they're much easier to rake when they're dry than they're wet. And especially when you're packing them back to the compost pile, they're a lot lighter too. So when you're selecting a rake, wooden rakes are always the best, but if you have a plastic rake like this one, the trick is to make sure and not to use a lot of pressure when you're raking. So I really get burnt out because you want to rake and you try so hard and you use a lot of pressure and you push it down and push it down. And I found that that really hurts your arms and you're much more tired. It's much easier to rake when you're just barely covering the ground. So I almost lift it up a little bit so that it's not really onto the ground. And that way I found it's much easier to rake and you're not raking up all the grass as well. And you're kind of pulling. As you pull with one hand, you hold it with one and pull with the other. But you're not really pulling hard, very softly, because that way you don't get as tired either. So when you're raking, it's best to start from the furthest corner and work your way to the pile. So I set aside a couple piles in my yard, but I start from the furthest end away from the pile, and then I just work my way. And it gets easier too. As you rake more leaves, it's almost like a snowball. It will attract more leaves. And then you just kind of pull it towards you very softly. The trick is very softly, because if you pull hard again, you're going to get really sore. So you just pull it into a pile. And then I just go back and keep raking. And you can start in one section and go in a circle. A lot of times the smaller leaves are harder to pick up than the larger leaves. It's much easier to rake once every couple days than to put it off and have to do it all at one time. So just by picking up all the leaves, by raking them maybe 2 or 3 times a week in the fall when they start really coming down, it makes it a lot easier. And then I just put them into piles and I throw them into either garbage cans and bring them out to the compost pile, or I put them right into the wheelbarrow. And especially when they're dry, it's really easy.